Good Shabbos and happy Purim. Well, it's still Shushan Purim today. We had great Purim events yesterday and hope you had a meaningful Purim. There's something that's strange about the story of Purim, and that although it's all about they try to kill us, we won, let's eat. But the Megillah is a ganze Megillah. It's quite lengthy. And the first two chapters especially seem to be lengthy in matters that don't relate to us, the Jewish people. It tells us about Achashverosh. He's a king of 127 provinces, and he's made a party for 180 days, and then he made a party for 7 days, and these are the things that he had at the party. These are the furnishings and what they sat on. Why is it important? And then furthermore, we have a beauty pageant of the girls coming and going and how they prepared themselves and how they beautified themselves. Why was that necessary to know? We need to know there was a person called Haman. He wanted to destroy the Jewish people. Esther was the queen, and she was able to convince the king that to save the Jewish people. That's the core of the story. Why all these details. So I did speak about it on Shabbos and gave one aspect and one angle, one perspective on it. And that is that every aspect of our life is an important part of our life. That, Steve Jobs says that was a major aspect for him in Microsoft is the fact that beforehand he dropped out of college and he went and took a calligraphy course, which he was totally disinterested in. But taking that course taught him about fonts, which was the start of Microsoft. So something that seemed to be insignificant was actually very significant for him. And that tells us that our life, even those things that we think are insignificant, are actually part of our story. And they make up our story. And therefore, we have to view it in a way that every aspect of life, even waiting in line or waiting in traffic, should be lifted and elevated and used and seen in a positive light. But I want to share another point, and that is the following. These are world events that Achashverosh ran a kingdom of 127 provinces. He became the king. He had this party. And it's a huge worldwide program, if you'd like. And you should know that all that, including a beauty pageant of girls coming from all the kingdoms, all that has to do with the Jewish people. That ultimately the Jewish people were saved had the decree, and everything was transformed and we were saved. That all related to that. And the Megillah is teaching us that's how we have to view the world. There could be major machinations and political upheavals and stories that we're seeing, wars. We should always view it through the eyes of Jewish eyes. Is it good for the Jews or not? That's how we have to view it. And it's always going to be related. And we just see it, even the last two major events over the last number of years, A, COVID, B, this war in Russia and Ukraine. If we're talking about COVID, who does the world look to know how to deal with COVID? Israel, remarkably. And when we're talking now Ukraine, of course, the president of Ukraine is Jewish. And who is seen now as the major mediator to possibly bring about the peace? That's the Israeli prime minister. So we see the view that we, even though we are less than a small percentage of the world's population, as the amount of Jews in the world are less than we wouldn't fill a correction in a Chinese census. So insignificant in number, but that doesn't matter. When you're important, the smallest amount in number is still significant. In halacha, even though there's the idea of batal b'shishim, if it's less than 1.8%, it's insignificant, but not if that makes things up. Let's say that small percentage gives a taste or makes it into a thing like a yogurt, etc. Then that doesn't become nullified in 1.8%. Well, we're actually smaller than 1.8% in the world, in most places in the world. Yet we are so significant. Everything surrounds itself with us. That's what the story of the Megillah is teaching us. There was a world event. We don't know why. We don't understand it, but we do know that that is the case. That's what the Megillah is telling us. Why does it have to be this way? Why does there have to be so many people and so many issues around the world? And it's focused on us, but that's what it is. That's what Hashem wanted. Hashem wants us to view everything that happens with the glasses, so to speak, with the perspective of how it relates to the Jewish people, because indeed, that is what's happening. That's why it's happening. The machination, why Achashverosh is king, and why over 127 countries, and why the beauty pageant, all have to do with ultimately the Jewish people. And when we see that, then we have to, if there are choices for us to make, we have to make it in that vein. So we always have to remember how important every aspect of our life is. And then the same thing is true with regards to, you could say, that in every person's life, the amount of time I spend on significant things versus insignificant things can't compare, right? We spend time on mitzvahs or Torah or doing someone a favor is a small measure of our day. But our eating and sleeping and working and playing, which seem to be not the spiritual part of our life, is the majority of our day and our week. But nevertheless, each part of the Jew's life. And that doesn't take away from the importance and significance of the special moments in our life. And all that is meant to serve those special moments in our life. That's how we view the entirety of our life as meaningful, as purposeful, entirety of our day, entirety of our life in general, and what takes place in the world as well. With that view, we then know how important every good thing that we do is, and how we are going to ultimately transform the world into a house for Hashem. And even then, we won't be the only one here, but it'll all be about us. Good Shabbos.